Chris Gotti Lorenzo. We're back here, Givin Them The Business podcast with my partner, Don Dinero.
You already know, Dinero que volar.
Que volar, que volar.
And as we talk about life, you know, me and you always discuss one of the most important things in life is to be happy, right?
Facts.
And I think one of the key elements to being happy is kind of, you know, when you're young, you don't really put money behind things, but as you get older, you kind of, the goal of the dream is earn a living doing what you love doing,
man,
right?
That's the blessing.
I think that's kind of the key, because
to do what you love.
So many people get up every morning
right.
and hate their fucking job,
hate their life,
right? But they hate their life because they probably hate the way they're not making a living doing what they love, and then they sit there and they look at the TV and the movie and the fucking sitcoms, and they're like, yo,
yeah,
I wish I was this or I was that. But if you do what you love, those people, I think, who are earning a living and doing what they love are really living heaven on earth. They're really, you know what I'm saying, they're really the happiest people around.
I agree, 1,000%. You know, when you say that, I only think about how I grew up. Even my dad, you know. And one day I asked him, you know, did you have any dreams and did you want to do anything? He just looked around and was like, I just want to pay the bills, keep the lights on,
right.
Put food on the table. See, it's a
focus.
different mindset the older you go back versus where we are today. But that's all he thought about. And I was like, damn, it made me really sad, because it was like he just sacrificed everything just to really keep the lights on and
you just said the key words,
and
though.
put food on the table.
But through that sacrifice,
8 kids, that's all he thought about.
Through that sacrifice, Irv,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? A lot of you were able, you know, through that.
Oh yeah, I look at my whole family. Everyone's successful. It's 8 of us. I'm number 7. Irv is number 8. You know, and Irv really cracked the code.
Did he?
Cracked the code. And that's what really, you know, put a whole nother perspective on the entire family. So the kids, you know, I got a grandkid, but, you know, the kids now, my kids, his kids, my brothers and sisters' kids, they all have a different way of looking at life.
Right.
Because we showed them something different.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I only had to look at what my mom and dad did, and that wasn't easy, but they wasn't doing he was a cab driver. He was not doing what he loved. He was just doing what he had to do and was able to do. You know what I mean? His skill level of what he could do. Like, so, you know, when we get into all of these different aspects of just doing what you love, you know, the first thing that comes into my mind is always sports. You know, imagine you play basketball, football, baseball, soccer, hockey.
Getting paid to play a kid's game.
You're doing what you love.
Getting paid to play a kid's game.
Even though I got a story with Agassi. You remember Andre Agassi? He was a world champ tennis player, and he said he hated his father because he wrote a book, and he said he hated his father, but his father told him, if you hit this tennis ball 500 times a day, you'll be the best tennis player in the world. And it happened. Right. And when I look at that, he hated his dad for it, but he ended up loving tennis, the game he didn't want to do, that his father made him do, and it turned into a love relationship with tennis, but he had a animosity towards his dad because he worked his ass so hard. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, there's stories of young. I mean, Tiger's dad exposed him to golf early. Now you see
3
Tiger's
years old,
son. You see Tiger's son. He's a beast, right?
Yeah.
So I think exposing your kids to something early, if you catch on to it early, then your life is bliss. Like LeBron knew he wanted to be a ball player. So to get like your life, once you early in life pick, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
This is what I love to do. This is what I'm going to do. Life totally changes.
You know, I like to look at not just athletes, though, like a guy like Elon Musk. There's no doubt in my mind he's doing what he loves right now. Jeff Bezos, he did what he loved. In order to put that time, energy, and passion into something, to make it successful, it has to be from a place of love of what you're doing. You can't do it if you didn't like what you're doing. You have to almost like the people around you. Most of those people that I mentioned are very introverted people. They didn't want to be around everybody, but they had a team that they was around, that they knew they could get answers from and bounce ideas off. And, you know, a wise man has many counsel. They all had many counsel. You know, Steve Jobs. You know, I look at all of these guys. These are guys I really watch what they do, their movements, what they did, their success, how they became successful, and they loved what they do. And that's, to me, is everything. When you pick a profession, so if we was trying to start a business, we need to pick professions. You have to pick something that you really might be passionate about. And if that love doesn't last, because there's going to be hard times, and if the love is what gets you through the hard times.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that love for it, you're not going to make it through the hard time. You know, most of these businesses fail because of the lack of love, leadership, bad decision making because of information or knowledge. And timing is probably 1, 2, the wrong time for the business.
And a lot of people do things just for the money. And once they get the money, let's say they're not really doing what they love and they don't have that same consistency. You know, when you talk about sports, people don't see look at what Klay just went through, 2 years. Woof. Knee, Achilles, right? So getting back, the hard work you have to put in when no one's watching. Yeah. It's good when you're out there shooting free throws, 3-pointers, dunking, but when no one's watching, the work he had to put in to get back to doing what he loved to do.
I watched when he first came back, and you mentioned Klay, and again, I didn't want to just talk about basketball, but that was a big deal, and you could see the love of what he does. He said he was just happy to be back on the court. Yes. But when you think about the time, energy, and effort to get back from those 2 catastrophic injuries, Achilles and ACL.
Yeah.
I mean, those are both potential career-ending injuries, and to be back on the court, I know he has to be ecstatic. And just
it comes back to the love. Are you willing to put in, and we mentioned sacrifice, put in the time that it takes to get back to doing what you love? And you're going to say hard times, right?
Yeah.
You can start a business. If you love it, there are going to be moments when you're going to second guess, hey, am I doing, it's not making any money, or we're not doing X or we're not doing Y. But if you love it, you'll see it through.
I'm gonna ask you, what was your first love?
Crack. No, I'm just kidding.
Crack? That's not a problem.
No, it wasn't.
Was it successful?
Extremely, but then I had a situation with these people stop me for a minute and send me on vacation. No,
I sat your ass down.
Yeah, I became a rapper, but it worked. Hey, I flipped it into something. Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is that, I man, since I can remember, it's, I think I always was a competition of sports, right? So, football, it's always my first love of high school. And I was trying
That's one of my first loves, too.
It's one of the reasons I put my kids through some, my son's a pro basketball player, my other one's college football, the other one's he's getting recruited, he has this thing this week. And I think, I don't know if it's the right word, but I kind of precariously live
through
them.
Yeah.
Because I realize from an economic, there's a rule in this country. And the rule's really simple. And if you follow this rule, you'll be extremely successful in this country. Graduate college, don't have kids before you get married. I'll say it again. Real simple. If you can follow those 2 rules, you'll be successful in this country.
In America.
In the United States. I know Gary Vee says don't go to school, don't do this. The schooling is not, you can get educated anywhere. It's the experience of college, because you don't get that back. And 4 years in your 20s and you're banging everything and she wants to bang everything and you're learning and the professor and that experience, you're away from home. My son's best friend at his wedding was his point guard in college, not his boys we went to high school with. Let that sink in. Right. So I think that it gets to the point where doing what you love, I loved it so much when I said, look, when I get a chance, I'm going to raise my kids this way, right? To kind of go, and they kind of fell in love with sports. They love it. They fell in love with certain things. I'm music, I'm Don Dinero. I never really pushed them towards the music. My daughter has that artistic aspect of it that she loves, and that's why she goes through her ups and downs, because, there's good years and there's bad years when it comes to being a creator.
Yeah, an artist.
An artist, yeah. A creator. So
a struggling artiste.
So myself was that. Music was always around. My dad was a street guy, a banquero, and my mom, everyone played an instrument. Violin, they sang. So on the weekends, my grandma taught all my cousins piano. So that's where the music, and my dad was kind of like that mobster Cuban guy with, in and out. So that's kind of where I got my thing, and then the music took off. But doing what I love to do, at the end of the day, was always give that message. So being that artist or becoming Don Dinero was part of the life. You know, life kind of takes you on a journey.
Yeah.
But it came back to doing what I love to do. I've always done what I love to do, whether it was, how many times me and you sit down and we don't talk money, we talk about, let's get this. There's no way you can work on obviously it costs things to make it happen, but there's no way you can't work on a project that you love and see it through, and if it's successful, the money's going to come.
Well, today I won't work on anything that I don't love. See, so I learned that lesson early in life about doing what you love, but I'm in a great position to be blessed to be able to live like that. I could only, again, I always go back to my dad. He wasn't blessed to be able to do what he loves. Like, he had to do what he had to do. And that's in me. If I have to do something, I'm cool, but I'm not in that position right now. Like, I could do what I want.
But you think it was the love of his kids that made him do what he had to do?
Yes, absolutely.
So the love, there was still a why, you feel me? There was that why, and that was the love for it. I got to hold this down because they're mine, you know what I'm saying? And that was able, to me, it still came down to love, even though, you know, he wasn't.
Look, I told you, when you mentioned football was the first thing. My first love was football, but I didn't go to school.
Right.
And you can't go to school and play football.
No, it doesn't work.
But before that, I was playing all that Pop Warner and everything, and then I just couldn't keep going through high school because I didn't go to school. I basically dropped out or missed the whole year, and then that was the end of that. Right. And I had a whole nother situation I had to deal with. But my first love that I found was construction.
What'd you love about it so much?
I love
creating.
I love to see a plot of land that has nothing, or a building that we got to take down and build a new building, you know, a road or a highway that we have to build. Just the whole dynamic of it. I love the challenge of it and watching, and that I could still go back and see it now, or that you created. I could go back to the parks and the schools, the highways, that I built. And that was before music. This is what my first loves. But again, it's hard work. I've never had a problem with hard work. Right. So when we ask that question, is it important to do something you love? That's gonna make you do the hard work. It's gonna help you, allow you to do the hard work. Because if you don't love it, you ain't gonna want to do that hard work. And construction was hard work. And I mean, my crew, I had a 37-man crew, man. It was a minority-owned company. We did everything. Only thing I didn't do was a bridge. I built everything but a bridge in my career in construction. But, I mean, I had a hell of a time, and I had a great crew, such camaraderie. I didn't just boss people around as the owner. Me and my sister owned the company, but I wasn't just that. I was in the hole digging with you. That's because I loved it. Right. It wasn't because any other reason. I didn't have a problem picking up a shovel, grabbing the chute for the concrete, because we specialize in concrete. It was like I had no problem doing any job, part of the job. So, but as a boss, when someone sees that as the owner, and you work for me, there's nothing you can't do either.
Right.
Don't tell me about your union rules and regulations. We're trying to get something done, and that's how my crew worked for me. They gave that up. They didn't worry about their union rules and regulations, because if you ever been on those jobs, you know how serious that is.
I mean, as a boss, like you could tell whether your workers love doing what they do or
absolutely.
Not. Right? You could tell in their approach to their work, what time they show up, the effort they give you.
It's funny you say that because we did most work outside, it was seasonal. So in the wintertime, it's like layoff, because you can't pour concrete in the winter. It costs too much money for the blankets and the treatment you have to put inside of it so it'll cure properly. So a lot of our work slowed down in the winter, and I only kept the workers that I knew loved the work. The ones that I knew was just doing it because it's a job. Right. I would say, all right, come back. We'll be back in February. You know what I'm saying? And they go on unemployment. That's typically what happened in all these construction jobs. Right. They get unemployment and they come right back. But if you was really working, the company kept you working. Okay. You know what I'm saying? But I did what I love, and it went right from that into music, which is something I love. I was the DJ first. Then Irv became a DJ, and then Irv really got really good. But then he took it to a whole nother level and called me and was like, yo, I need you with me, because I was with him his whole time. And when I shut down construction, and that was probably the dumbest shit I ever did in my life, just not realizing I laid everyone off. I left probably about $2 million, maybe more, on the streets that we didn't collect from our the people that we did the work for, the companies.
So you consider that a regret, maybe that you.
One of my biggest regrets is that I didn't keep the company going, the construction company going, because I loved it. Right, and then I just shifted because I did it for 2 years, actually, construction and music before I stopped. I burnt myself out doing both. Coming from that morning, working my ass off, going into, again, now I'm doing 2 things I love. I'm doing music and construction, and it's just burning me out. I used to fall asleep constantly behind the wheel, having accidents and shit. You know what I'm saying? Constantly having an accident. I never had an accident, I'm going to knock on wood, while I've been awake. All my accidents is because I fell asleep. That's crazy, right? That's fucking crazy. All my accidents driving is because I fell asleep. Oh, man, I don't want to talk about it. I fell asleep, but I have fell asleep. I used to operate the machines, you know, them backhoes, and fall asleep while I'm operating because I was up all night in the studio getting it. I had to get back to the construction site at 7 in the morning. You understand? Leaving the studio at 5, no sleep, and I got to operate the machine. They used to throw rocks at me. My workers would get out and just throw rocks at me. I flipped over one of those, what they call excavators, because I fell asleep. Wow. Excavators is made for flat ground, or you could plow shit up high, doesn't matter. You go a little uneven, that shit flips. I'm lucky I didn't die, because most of the time you flip out of it and then it crushes you. And I had the seatbelt on, thank God. And I stayed in there, but I'm upside down. But all because I was asleep. So I had to make a decision, and I chose music.
Right.
Because it's with my brother, everything, the whole thing. And I was like, I'm going to do music. And I closed up my construction business. You know, my sister, she was like, and then I brought her in with me
to the music.
In the music. You know what I'm saying? But she did accounting, but that's what she loved. And at the end of the day, those are the 2 passions that proves, again, you have to do what you love if you want it. And it's the likeliness of you being successful will come from you loving what you do. Doesn't mean you have to be successful. You know what I'm saying? But the likeliness is you'll be successful if you love what you do. If you don't love what you do, the likeliness of you not being successful will be greater.
Yeah, because you won't put that effort in when no one's looking.
You won't want to do what I'm talking about. That too, going right from there to there and not sleeping, and I mean everything on the wood, like everything, just trying to build something. And
that's actually the most, when you love it, that's the most exciting, passionate time. The beginning, the building, and then the maintaining is another aspect of it. So to maintain it, you got to love it because it's so much work and it's so much.
Yeah, we're here doing Givin Them The Business. I love this because what I do is empower. I'm trying to empower people. Yes. We're giving them knowledge, information, know-how. Again, what makes things work, not work, success, what's success. And everything about success is different for everybody. If I told you, here's $5 million, you'd be like, man, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, that's not enough money. You know, it's all relative.
Strip club, man.
You know, that was one of the things that I looked at all executives in the music industry as racist. When we'd have these meetings and we had deals on the table, and they want to tell you about, that's a lot of money. And I looked at them like, what are you talking about? That's not a lot of money for me. I want more than that. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And that statement, it's a lot of money, is to me a racist statement because they're putting you in a class. They're putting you at a level.
Yeah, they're limiting you.
They're limiting you, and that is the racist part of what I'm talking about, because they wouldn't limit themselves. They're not going to say that's a lot of money for them. They want more too.
Yeah, they're not going to tell you their number.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I believe you have to love what you're doing to really be truly successful. You know, I watch all these different executives. Again, I would love to still be able to talk to Steve Jobs. He's one of the guys that I really, and I hear he was a big asshole. Like, everyone talks about the way he talked and treated people. But on his deathbed, he came around. He said, all the money in the world don't matter without, because he knew he was dying. Yeah. And he couldn't stop it. It didn't matter. He's like, but, I wish I could have talked to him just to kind of peep into how he thought, because he was very, again, just think he lost Apple. People don't realize that. If you don't really know Steve Jobs' story, he lost Apple.
Like the beginning,
They took it from him, and then he took it back. That's crazy. But that's love, right? And he knew there's no one better at this shit than me. And that's because that love and that passion for what he was doing.
And he had that vision. You have to have vision also.
Gotta have vision.
Be able to see it.
Where it could go.
Yes.
So it's not stagnated. We always want to see as people, we want to see growth and development. I tell all my people here, I said, I want to make sure that everyone sees the beginning episodes. I don't care how good, bad they are. We're going to show the growth and development.
Always, yeah.
People want to see where you struggle to come up. We're no different.
No.
This ain't no different. We're going to have to go through our ups and downs and highs and lows to get to where we want. But that's part of the journey. That's the struggle, but that's what the love comes in, because that's what keeps pushing you.
You got to push through it.
You know, that's what fucking keeps me up at night. How am I making this shit better? You know what I'm saying? Adventure music. How am I going to make that the #1 place to get rid of Universal, Warner Brothers, and Sony? That's the fire that I'm talking about that you got to have, you know what I'm saying, for all business like that.
Yeah. And again, comes back to loving what you do. You got to sit back and say, hey, am I willing to take this journey? Sometimes we discuss it. In my life, I've seen myself, sometimes I'm so far deep in the desert, there's no turning fucking back anyway. Right? You might as well keep walking.
Hey, I was talking about man the other day, and he said his analogy was he was out in the water. He said he knew where the land was, but he kept going so far he didn't see it anymore. This was his analogy in business for his restaurant that he has, my man Shorts. You know what I'm saying? And he said he couldn't see the land no more, and he knew. I came from there. He said, so I just kept going. That's like the blind faith, but that's really the love of what you're doing.
They also, it's a saying that says ignorance is bliss. When you don't know, you can see further.
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
It's funny you say that, because that's one of me and Irv's things is we always say stay ignorant.
Yes.
You know, for business, we always say stay. You know, the reason for that stay ignorant statement is basically about not wanting to be put into that box, that so-called box, you know, where people say, well, this is what you have to do. Fuck out of here.
Listen, there's 98, 99, and I'm rapping.
Don't let no one put you in the box, yo.
And I'm doing Spanish hip hop. I remember Fat Joe was telling me, what, Spanish hip hop? Like,
yeah.
It's hip hop. There's no Spanish. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't they didn't understand. I was just taking hip hop beats, going Spanish. So, when
you understand now.
Well, again,
hey, Crack, you understand now, don't you?
The vision was, I could see it because I knew what the people wanted.
Yeah.
I remember my brother, God rest his soul, my brother, since he only hung around, the people he knew were industry people. When I gave him that single, Pana Pana, and I believed, you know, I'm all in, I'm in love. And they were saying, his people saying, no one's ever gonna play this.
Yeah, he's in the box.
It doesn't fit the programming. He's cursing. It's rap. We only play merengue, salsa, bachata. It's tropical radio.
Yeah.
When I charted top 20 Billboard, everyone else was signed to Universal, Sony, and here comes Don Dinero, Cuban Connection Records, right? And independent. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, and I was tropical charts.
Tropical.
They didn't even have a chart for me. So you have to have that love and that passion for it.
Right.
But you have to, then you add a little
Stay
vision to
ignorant.
that. Yeah, and it's over. No one can stop.
If you allow them to tell you everything that they already know, you would have never became Don Dinero.
Because they're going to tell you all the reasons you can't do it.
Right. No, that's so important.
That's why being young is important. Hanging around young people with ideas, and because they'll tell you, you know why I love to hang around my kids? Because they're going to tell me all the reasons why it could be done.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, nah, motherfucker, that can't happen. Yes, it can. Nah. You're looking at like, because then your kids are like a mini version of you, and you spend more around, you be like, okay, that's me. If I could speak to me when I was 17, this is what, okay. So, and it's part of that ignorance and that love for life. And the bottom line is, man, listen, pick what you love to do and do that shit every day.
And go.
And just go.
Get out in that water when you don't see no land.
Keep swimming.
Believe you're going to swim to the land, wherever that land may be.
Now, I will tell you this. Some of y'all going to get eaten by some sharks.
Shit happens.
Hey, shit happens.
Squeak. Everybody ain't going to win.
Nah.
But if you don't give it, you know how I look at that? If you don't give it your best effort, you'll never know where you could have ever been.
Hip-hop is a perfect example.
Yeah.
How many people didn't start off wanting to be rappers and are managers now,
yes.
DJs,
publishing,
all kind of stuff, right?
everything.
So you could take that journey with that same passion, and many people that I know that are football coaches wanted to be
They
players.
tried to play football.
Many are in the league. Sean McVay, the young guy who won yesterday for the Rams, it's like 35, 36 years old. Brady's 45.
Yeah.
He's still playing, the other guy's coaching, right? So they're still doing what they love
That's
to
crazy.
do. Right. They're still doing what they love to do. You know, and I think that's what keeps LeBron James going, and that keeps everyone else going. Yeah.
New challenges.
Now I have a question for you. This
Go
is
ahead.
real quick because they're telling us, to wrap it up and shit or whatever. But do you think porno stars love doing what they do?
Of course.
What if they
Absolutely.
don't? What if one of the guys just say, hey Bobby, I got a job for you.
Impossible.
Hey Pepito, I got a job for you.
Hey,
Pays pretty good.
Well, in my opinion, it's impossible.
So the women love it too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And the strippers love it.
For sure.
The pimps love it.
Well, look.
The hoes love being hoes.
Hold on. There's an addiction. Listen to me. There's an addiction to everything you just mentioned.
I'd say.
So I believe there's an addiction to being a stripper. Again, a porno star. There's an addiction that they feel.
The attention, the stripper. By the way,
I used to own a strip club. I dealt with a lot of strippers in my life. And when I talk to them and I dive into that mindset, there's an addiction. Maybe they was not as attractive as they thought they would be, and this is feeding that part of their ego because all of the men are on them. It could be so many things. They could be very sexual. It could be that too. So
most
many different
strippers
reasons.
are Hija de Ochun.
Say which who?
Ochun.
Oh, Ochun.
Which is
yeah,
the
but we
god
can't
of sex,
talk about
of
Ochun
honey.
without talking about Ifa, and we can't get into Ifa
No, because
right now.
because it has to do with that most strippers, they take on that. It's looks, right? You got to have a certain look to be a stripper,
Sure.
right? To be able to make money in that game. So all of a sudden, all the women that look that way are automatically, now the majority of them are Hija de Ochun.
I'm gonna stop you right there, and I'm gonna say we're gonna get back to Ochun and give him the business in Ifa on another episode. Again, I want to just make sure we thank everybody.
Strippers doing what they
again.
love. That's what I'm saying, because they were born to be hoes. No, just kidding.
Again, I'm just signing out, you know what I'm saying, giving them the business. You know what I'm saying?
Give them the
Don
business.
Dinero, Chris
Get them
Gotti
dollars up,
Lorenzo,
baby.
Man, thank you. Time's up. Yeah.